Global Gridlock News Report. Tensions between Russia and the United States have reached a new high, with Russian officials issuing stark nuclear threats towards the U.S. The threat comes amidst escalating geopolitical hostilities, as both nations clash over their influence in global affairs. Russian authorities have cited actions by the U.S. and its allies as provocations, justifying their aggressive stance. Before we proceed, please like, comment, and subscribe to help us with the YouTube algorithm. During a recent statement, a top Russian official warned that any perceived act of aggression by the U.S. could provoke a swift nuclear response, emphasizing Russia's readiness to defend its sovereignty. This rhetoric marks a disturbing turn in the long-standing tensions that have simmered since the end of the Cold War. The Kremlin's messaging reflects concerns over NATO's activities near its borders and the continued support of Ukraine by Western nations. The U.S., for its part, has dismissed these statements as posturing but remains vigilant. Officials in Washington have reiterated their commitment to protecting U.S. interests and allies while calling for diplomatic engagement to de-escalate the situation. Despite efforts to maintain a strong front, there are growing fears that any miscalculation could trigger a serious conflict. Russia's nuclear threats are not new, but the frequency and intensity of these warnings have increased in recent months. Observers suggest that this could be a tactic to divert attention from domestic issues and bolster support for the Kremlin's policies. Moreover, the mention of nuclear capabilities serves as a reminder of the devastating consequences of any potential confrontation. Experts believe that Russia's nuclear posturing is aimed at testing the resolve of the US and NATO. By raising the specter of nuclear conflict, Moscow seeks to discourage Western intervention in regions it considers part of its sphere of influence, particularly Ukraine. The situation in Ukraine remains a flashpoint, with both sides unwilling to back down. The broader international community has expressed concerns over the implications of these threats. Countries in Europe and Asia, many of whom would be affected by any escalation, are urging both Russia and the U.S. to pursue diplomatic solutions. Meanwhile, the United Nations has called for restraint, highlighting the catastrophic humanitarian and environmental impact of a nuclear confrontation. Domestically, the rhetoric seems to be bolstering nationalistic sentiment within Russia. The state-controlled media has been amplifying the government's message, portraying the country as a besieged fortress standing against Western encroachment. This narrative has found resonance among many Russians, who view the U.S. as an aggressor intent on undermining Russia's sovereignty. In the U.S., the response has been more measured. While officials acknowledge the seriousness of Russia's threats, they have emphasized that the U.S. remains well prepared to defend itself and its allies. Military analysts have noted that the U.S. nuclear deterrent is robust, and any attack by Russia would be met with overwhelming force. The current standoff reflects the broader deterioration in U.S.-Russia relations, which have been marked by mutual distrust and hostility. The collapse of arms control agreements, ongoing cyber confrontations, and differing regional ambitions have all contributed to the deepening rift. As both sides continue to ramp up their rhetoric, the risk of miscalculation looms large. For now, the world watches as the two nuclear superpowers exchange threats. While it is unlikely that either side truly wants a nuclear war, the danger lies in the unpredictable nature of international politics. If history has taught us anything, it is that the path to conflict is often paved with misunderstandings and unintended consequences.